Here we go with the final swing of the Bassmaster Elite Series 2019. And this stop is much anticipated. Named last July by Bassmaster Magazine as the #1 destination in bass fishing, this is the famed St. Lawrence River, and that right there is what it is famed for. Giant smallmouth bass. Look at those numbers from day #1 on the St. Lawrence in Waddington, New York. This weigh-in showed us 20-pound bags, over 25 of them brought to the weigh-in. The big bass, 6 pounds, 2 ounces. The average fish size just under 4 pounds. This place is absolutely phenomenal, and the best day of all from Chris Johnston.
24 pounds, 7 ounces, 24/7, and that's how you kick off a weigh-in in Waddington, New York. Big brown beast from beneath.
Well, if anyone was worried about the productivity of the St. Lawrence River here in 2019, well, don't worry. As Dave Mercer says, there are plenty big brown beasts from beneath to go around. There's your leaderboard after the first day's fishing. Chris Johnston, the Canadian, on top. Scott Canterbury, who came in here as leader of Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, in second place, followed by Steve Kennedy, Greg DePalma, Shane LeHue, and all the rest. Our full 75 angler field will be ready to go when we start day #2, Davey, without worries that the St. Lawrence is not putting out giant smallmouth.
Yeah, Tommy, I remember being here with you saying last year at the St. Lawrence River, it's the best smallmouth bass tournament I've ever seen anywhere or anytime, and it did not disappoint. Picked up right where it left off. It is a great fishery. Took 24 pounds to the lead, 21 pounds to be top 10, 14 bags, over 20 pounds just on day one, and the conditions weren't exactly perfect. They wanted different wind conditions, so I don't know what it would have been that first day had we had a different wind direction, but hey, St. Lawrence is alive and well. That's why it's voted the best bass fishing destination in the country.
So have no worries. Pretty much everybody in this field is going to catch plenty of big smallmouth. You have to be the guy who finds that little uptick in size if you want to have designs on the trophy. Let's take a look right now at our Yamaha Unlock the Lake for the St. Lawrence.
Well, it is the final connection between the Great Lakes and the Atlantic Ocean, but we're concerning ourselves with only about 110 miles of the St. Lawrence River from the outflow from Lake Ontario all the way to just about Cornwall. This monster of a river with a monster current just about all the time. A big challenge for these anglers. Navigation, getting around. Weather can also be a problem being in this part of the country. 5th visit for Bassmaster Elite Series to be here on the St. Lawrence River. And there's the man who had the best luck on day #1. Luck and skill, of course, combined for Chris Johnston to bring in about 24.5 pounds of smallmouth bass.
Always a little bit of luck involved, but a lot of skill with Chris and Corey Johnston, no doubt about it. The thing that's surprising to me, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers, it's the middle of summer, and Chris Johnston is sight fishing for these smallmouth. Very few of them on the bed, probably a very small percentage of males still up there guarding these beds. But Chris Johnston looking for a mixture of sand, rock, gravel, and these current seams is what really isolate these big smallmouth. You can catch keepers of smallmouth anywhere, but Chris Johnston knows you have to locate the 4 and 5, even 6 pounders.
Eat it. Got him. Uh-oh. This isn't good. Oh, that's a good one. Whew. It's a tank. One treble right in the nose.
It was a tougher day for sure. I had to work a little harder for the fish. They got beat up pretty good on day 1. There's less fish, and the way I'm fishing, I can see them, so I know if they're there or not. And there's just not many left, and the ones that are left are a little skittish.
Well, off just a little bit, 22 pounds, 13 ounces. Still pretty respectable for Chris Johnston. Meanwhile, Chris Zaldain coming from 19 3/4 on day 1 all the way to 22.7 on day 2.
I do know it's been calm the last couple days, going into day 3 and day 4. If that southwest wind, and that's a dominant wind up in this region, if it blows, the area I'm fishing just absolutely lights up.
Well, the weather on day #3 looks like it's going to be pretty close to what Chris Zaldain wants. Another thing he wants is what every fisherman wants, not so much company, where he's going. And you see the length of that run down there all the way almost to Lake Ontario. for Chris Zaldane, and that's the way his tournament has shaped up so far. Definitely heading in the right direction. Chris Zaldane needing to light it up for one more day to look good for the final cut to 10.
Yeah, Chris Zaldane making a long run, and it's a real gamble to travel so far and go past so many big largemouth and smallmouth bass, but it's working out for him, no doubt about it. He's fishing deep. He's down close to the lake. It's known to have the bigger fish, but he's given up almost 3 hours a day of his fishing time.
No, come here. Oh my gosh. Yes! Woo-hoo! Yeah! That's a big one for a rainy day. Woo-hoo! Yeah! The 5-pounder. Plenty of time. Yeah. There's one. Big one. Oh, there's a, oh my gosh, look how many are down there. Holy cow. There's like 4 down there. Stay on there, please. Big head shakes on this one. Don't do it. Oh God, that's a giant. Stay on there. Oh my gosh, stay on there. That is freaking huge. Stay on there, girl. Oh, please stay on there. Oh my gosh. I can't rush this one. This is a freaking toad. Stay on there. No. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Stay on there. Look at the size of, no. Oh my gosh. No. Oh, come here. No, come here. Yeah! Woo! Yes! Oh, that's a giant smallmouth. Oh, dude. You know how many are down there? Yes! There's a load of them down there. Trocar drop shot hook. Yes! Giant.
23-12, and he rockets into second place with 65.15. He is just 7 ounces short of the overall lead. Get loud, ladies and gentlemen. Boom, shakalaka, giant bass.
Phenomenal giant smallmouth. That's all you can say when you look at this picture of Chris Zaldane rocketing up into second place and still hanging on with the hope of going wire to wire. Chris Johnston.
19-1, and Chris Johnston moves back into the lead at the Berkeley Bassmaster Elite at the St. Lawrence River.
Pretty tall order to lead 3 days in a row on a place that's as volatile as the St. Lawrence River, but Chris Johnston has achieved just that. But look at the size of that lead. It is minuscule, 6 ounces. And we look at our full 10 right here, all the way down to Micah Fraser. We got about a 5-pound difference. We'll start the final day with 10 anglers in play when we return.
The Berkeley Bassmaster Elite at the St. Lawrence River, presented by Black Velvet, is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Berkeley, Triton Boats, and by Toyota.
3 days of fishing in the books here on the St. Lawrence River at the Berkeley Bassmaster Elite. Final day action ready to go for the 7th stop of the year for the Bassmaster Elite Series, and the St. Lawrence has been absolutely out of sight this week. Chris Johnston with the top spot right there, but not by much, ahead of Chris Zaldane, who's been moving up steadily over the last couple of days. Greg DePalma, very solid in there, and all the way down through there, including our Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year leader, Scott Canterbury. He's one of the 10 as well. So we're looking forward to a big day today, Davey Height.
Well, going out the final day on the St. Lawrence River, there's so many of these fishermen that didn't make the top 10 that said, I just wanted to go out and be able to fish on the final day. This place is phenomenal. But take note of the top 10. They're all over 60 pounds, been averaging over 20 pounds a day. This is anyone's ball game. You see Scott Canterbury there, the legendary Jay Yellis, Keith Combs, Chris Zaldane. It's going to be very interesting.
I'm excited. We're going to go out and do all we can do, catch as many as we can catch, and just give it our all.
I'm just going to go through my areas one time, keep expanding, hopefully, and hey, maybe we'll get by with the right ones.
I'm gonna gamble today. I feel like if I don't gamble, then I might have a little regret, so I'm gonna do it.
We're gonna go out there and kind of do what I've been doing and just hope for a magical day. I don't really have any chance at doing anything moving up the leaderboard unless I catch 24, 25 pounds. So I know there's some big fish around where I'm fishing, and so I'm just gonna kind of stick in that area and hope for 5 big bites.
24 pounds today. They live there. We just got to get there. Got to catch them today, man. That guy in front of me is an absolute St. Lawrence River hammer.
All right, here we go, day 4. We got to catch them. The sun's just popping out for us. We're gonna start shallow. I left a few there yesterday afternoon. Hopefully they're there, ready to bite.
Always on the 10th day, you have to think that all these guys think there's some set of circumstances that could put them on the top at the end of the day. This time around, every one of the 10 has a legitimate reason to think that, hey, I can definitely get this done. As our 10 take off to different spots up and down this 100 miles of the St. Lawrence River, we see a very popular spot right there where we find 5 of our 10. Keith Combs down in the intermediate length, but all the way down is where Chris Zaldain, as promised, is going to be on this 4th and final day. But let's head back to this spot. Micah Fraser there, our leader Chris Johnston, Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year leader Scott Canterbury, and others. And Chris Johnston, like you say, Davey, relying on sight fishing to a great extent.
Got him. It's a good one. Come on, fish. Stay hooked up. Come on. This is about the 4th or 5th one I've seen about this size, but they haven't been willing to cooperate. Oh, fish number 1. Oh, the hook fell out. Thank you. Number 1. It's a solid 4, I think. All right. It's a good start. Get 1 or 2 more of those to commit there, and if I can catch them, be a good start. There's at least 3 or 4 more of that size. Only takes 5.
First year on the Bassmaster Elite Series for Chris Johnston, and he started off with a bang. As a matter of fact, he went 2nd place to Rick Clunn at the St. Johns River. 5th year for this man, Micah Fraser.
Well, just what he asked for. Micah Fraser said, I've got to have a great start today. Got to have at least 24 pounds to have a chance. Well, that's a great start that he asked for. And better keep an eye on him. He's been catching a lot of numbers all week long. Here's another person you better keep an eye on. Been so consistent. That's why he's leading Toyota Angler of the Year, Scott Canterbury. Fishing just a few miles downstream from Micah Fraser.
Yeah, I mean, I started today where I started the tournament the first 2 days, and I didn't get bit. They're there. Another guy's catching, Micah's catching some there, but I mean, I didn't get bit. I'm gonna fish it some more today because I know there's big ones there, and I bounced around just a little bit. I came back to where I caught them yesterday. It's gonna be good. I mean, we got a long time to fish. That's a good one. I thought he was gonna give up quick. It's not a real big one, but it's a good one.
Scott Canterbury, who had a monster day 1, doesn't take long before he is well underway here on the St. Lawrence on day number 4. Another angler having a great tournament up here on the St. Lawrence, all the way from another big river, the Rio Grande down in Texas. Ray Hanselman feels right at home here.
he was tracking right in front of, he followed the bait in the first, he was about 10 feet in front of the boat, just swimming away.
Just one of many reasons why you love the St. Lawrence River. You catch big smallmouth and largemouth, shallow, deep, using any technique that you prefer. Ray Hanselman using a crankbait. Not seeing a lot of guys doing that this week, but it's a great technique to use when these fish are off the edges of these grass beds. Here's another Texas angler doing something a little different. Keith Combs.
Ooh, another good one. Watch out. Oh, man. Keep catching them like that, we're gonna do fine, just fine.
Keith Combs with his jerk bait, Ray Hanselman with the crankbait, and the changes have made a difference this morning, making some movement up and down that leaderboard. That'll be the 7th one of those vaunted blue trophies that will be handed out at the end of the day in Waddington, New York at the weigh-in. Well, the St. Lawrence here, one of those anglers doing everything he can to get his hands on it. Greg DePalma. Greg DePalma, who comes from Millville, New Jersey, had a great day one, 23 pounds and 6 ounces. Days 2 and 3, he has pretty much kept his spot there, so he's in a perfect position, just a little over 2 pounds back to challenge for that trophy we saw.
There he is.
Feels good. It's coming up. Oh, it's a good one. Oh my God, it's a 5, a 6. Holy crap. Oh man. I don't know if this is gonna fit my live well. Oh my goodness, this is a giant. Please stay on. Come on, tire out, you big dog, you. Oh my goodness. Come here. Come here. Got you, baby. Yeah. Woo! So we came out here, boys. Oh, can't get the hook out. Oh, that's a good. I don't know how big it is, but man, that's good. I'm juiced up right now, man. I fell down in that hole. I felt the bait fall in the hole. Got it. That's why I keep checking my lineup so high. Hashtag what up with 8. Yeah, everybody told me I was crazy for doing this. Everybody. I was also told I was crazy to try to be a professional bass fisherman.
Well, Greg DePalma, I guess right there defending his decision to go after largemouth. The only defense he needs is that one he just caught right there. That says a lot, and that will get him on the leaderboard in a big way. You see where Greg DePalma stands in 6th place right now. Dick's Sporting Goods Bassmaster Rookie of the Year. Once again this year, a very, very strong field. Each one of these 10 you see here have been important parts of one or another tournaments that we've covered this year, Davey.
Absolutely they have. And Greg DePalma, not crazy for making that run this morning, obviously, and certainly not crazy for coming out here on the Bassmaster Elite Series, having a great year. Chris Johnston back to an area that he fished several times throughout the week. Been pressured a lot, but he's going back, just trying to catch a few more fish to finish this thing out.
Got him. It's a giant. Oh God. Stay hooked. Has no sense of humor. Oh, there we go. Number 2 took a while, but I just lost one there about 5 minutes ago. I didn't get a look at him. It's a solid one.
Well, Davey, you talked about Chris Johnston's need to see those fish. Yesterday was probably the cloudiest day we had. A little more sun peeking through today, and that has certainly translated into 2 really good keepers in the box for Chris Johnston. But meanwhile, over to Micah Fraser. This guy Doesn't make a lot of noise, but he is solid.
Rock solid, no doubt about it. And he's a great fisherman. 5th year on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Loves to fish deep, clear water. Fishes Lake Lanier a lot. We saw him do good there earlier this season. Micah Fraser, this is no surprise.
Nice one. Just sat down on that thing. I like when they do that. It just stops. It's ticking along the bottom and all of a sudden it just stops.
Well, you said it, Davey Hyde. He's been the guy working the numbers this week. He's been catching the biggest numbers through the course of the 3 fishing days so far, and we can get his size up like that. Well, you see some big movement up the leaderboard from 10th all the way to 3rd to Micah Fraser. We'll keep an eye on him for sure.
The Berkeley Bassmaster Elite at the St. Lawrence River, presented by Black Velvet, is brought to you by Yamaha, Skeeter Boats, Power Pole, and by Humminbird.
Just a visually spectacular place, the St. Lawrence River, even without the fishing. But it just so happens that the fishing here is off the charts, has been all week long. 4th day of this 4-day tournament on the St. Lawrence, and a big part of it, Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year. That race getting closer and closer to its end. And look at that, Drew Cook, 3rd place, had the lead coming in to the St. Lawrence, but over the course of these 3 days, the man who has taken over is Alabama's Scott Canterbury. Scott Canterbury is out there fishing among the 10 on this final day. You got to think he feels good about his position in the points.
Feels good right now. I mean, we got a lot of fishing left. You know, I wanted to survive this tournament and the next one too, but you know, the tournaments you look forward to seem like they hurt you the worst a lot of times. You know, I really look forward to Gunners when I didn't have a great finish there. I did okay, but I mean, I sort of, you know, I'm happy with the way the years went. Excited about leading and, you know, just ready to fish the next tournament. I can't wait till Cayuga, and then we go to Oklahoma, Fort Gibson. That's a tournament that's going to make or break a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of changes going on at that tournament, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to get it going. Anxious to keep fishing. Ooh, that's a good one. Golly, don't do that. These things never give up. And in this current, man, that's a big one. Golly, that's a giant. That's a giant. Biggest one I've caught all week. Oh my gosh. Guys, that's a freaking tank. I'm talking about a St. Lawrence giant. Dude, you can weigh some of them in, I promise you we'll make a run at this. That's what I'm talking about, Ken. Woo-hoo! Son, that's a tank! Tank!
Well, that's what we all get up real early in the morning for, to try to go out and catch tanks. And when you say tank on the St. Lawrence River, smallmouth bass, they have to be up around that 6-pound mark, like that one was to be called a tank here. Here's another guy that's caught some tanks this morning. Micah Fraser, he said, I've got to have a good start, got to have 24, 25 pounds. Well, he's been catching some tanks. He's moved up all the way into the lead.
Scott Canterbury. We just saw some great size coming in the boat there. Ditto for Micah Fraser. You noticed he got that relatively early limit, about 15 pounds, giving him plenty of time to upgrade through the course of the day. And again, we point out he's going through more fish than just about any one of our anglers out there today. So Micah Fraser on top, really not a big surprise. And Chris Johnston knows he's got plenty of work left to do if he's going to hang on and go wire to wire and pick up the win here on the St. Lawrence.
2 of them, giant. Eat it. Got them. There's 3 of them. Oh my God, I suck at landing these. Worst fish lander ever, but got the job done. Another good one. 2 more. It's always nice when you're sight fishing one and one comes out of nowhere and it's bigger and he eats it. Let's find that other one.
Well, you heard Chris say it, worst fish landing ever, but these big brute smallmouth in St. Lawrence make every fish landing look a little bit tougher than average. And so we get ready to look at our Skeeter Boats Taste the Bait here, Davey. We got all our 10 guys out there trying to make that single place or combination of places pay for just one more day. What's going to be the deciding factor?
Well, it's very difficult. Over 100 miles of river, and whether you're going to fish shallow or fish deep, some of the anglers fishing 30, 40, even 50 feet deep. Other anglers like Chris Johnston choosing to fish much shallower. But here's what you got to look for to find those bigger smallmouth. You got to look for a mixture of grass, rock, vegetation, current seams. A big, big deal, no matter what depth you're fishing, is current, and that's where you find these bigger smallmouth.
There's sand and then there's rock that comes out here to a point and runs along the island, and it's all sand out in front. It's the only hard spot, and then the current really rips around this point. Makes it very unique, and seems to be the odd new fish on every once in a while too. So.
Well, when you're fishing shallow, fortunately or sometimes unfortunately, you know exactly how many fish you're around. But for Chris Johnston, day 2 and day 3, it seemed like the numbers were dwindling and he was fishing those same areas. It's going to be real important on the final day for some of these bigger fish to move back in. And according to Chris Johnston, that's absolutely happened. He and his brother Corey have won everything on this river. But these 4-day events, you need new fish to move in your areas for you to have a chance.
Well, he might be seeing a touch of that right now with that 3-pounder coming in the boat. He's able to retake the lead. Started the day with the lead, and he's going to have to hang on to the end. The Berkeley Bassmaster Elite on the fabulous St. Lawrence River. Let's take a look at our Mercury move of the day. Sometimes it can be expressed in miles, sometimes it can be expressed as a decision, but right here from Micah Fraser, it's expressed by a movement up the leaderboard and also consistency throughout the first 3 days of this tournament. Look, you can't get more consistent than 20 pounds and a half or thereabouts each and every day. Today, he is right on track to do that and more. Knows he's going to have around 24, 25 pounds if he wants to close out the victory right here. Micah Fraser seems to be getting the work done. Of course, the 10th spot may be the spot to start from, Davey Hyde. We learned that on our last outing at Guntersville.
We certainly did. Jamie Hartman came from 10th place on the final day unexpectedly to win that event. It's almost unheard of to see an angler move from that far down. But Jamie Hartman did it, and you got to know, on a place like the St. Lawrence River, it can be done also. If you're within, say, the big fish of the tournament so far here, a little over 6 pounds, you know you've got a chance to come back all the way from 10th place. Micah Fraser has just been catching so many fish. You know he's going to get the big ones.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Pretty significant cull right there, about 2 pounds or thereabouts, and that is going to make a big difference for Micah Fraser as he continues to get closer and closer to that target weight that he talked about with us earlier. Micah Fraser showing a lot of faith in this spot, which has done so much for him throughout the course of this thing. We've seen other anglers, Davey, doing some Plan B stuff, even Plan C stuff, and I think that's about what we're about to see right now with Brian Snowden from Missouri. Did great day 1 and day 2, and now he's on a Plan B for sure.
Well, we got pretty frustrated out there smallmouth fishing today. So we made a move. We're fishing in a bay that's got largemouth, and we're just kind of having fun for the last few hours of the day. But the water's fallen some, so might have moved them around just a little bit. There we go.
Tommy, we get so caught up in watching all these big smallmouth bass coming in the boat. This is a great largemouth fishery, no doubt about it. Whether you want to flip this thick vegetation or throw a frog, you see there's lots of those up there. You can do it all on the St. Lawrence River. Brian Snowden, unfortunately, has moved down the leaderboard, but here's the person atop the leaderboard, Chris Johnston, fishing shallow for these big smallmouth.
There's the big one. Probably help too. Big black ones down there.
Well, Chris Johnston, one more time back into the lead. Certainly has been back and forth between he and Micah Fraser during the course of this 4th and final day. Probably going to be that way right to the end of fishing today. Scott Canterbury started this day in 6th. He's up in 4th now.
A big one, I think. Nah. I see him. It's a pretty good one. Stay down. Don't jump. I mean, it'll get rid of a 2-pounder. Get rid of a 2-pounder, though. That's what I'm trying to do. Boy, he's a little green. I rushed him a little bit, but I got him now. Skinny.
Skinny, but still in all, he gets a good cull out of it, 1 pound and 5 ounces. That is something that Scott Canterbury will definitely take at this point of the proceedings. Getting closer and closer to the end of this final day of fishing right here. A little move up the leaderboard for Scott Canterbury again. Meanwhile, Keith Combs started out the day with that crankbait and jerkbait and still trying to keep it going.
These fish are actually up here feeding on crawfish. So I'm not fishing a bait that imitates a crawfish. The main thing is just, for me, is just trying to get my bait noticed, and a crankbait or a jerkbait is something I can throw and cover enough water with. I believe a smallmouth, for the most part, if he sees it, he's at least gonna show himself. And I've caught several this week that I brought them up, they swiped at my bait, I pitched a tube in there or a drop shot and caught those fish. I'm not really trying to imitate what they're feeding on as much as just try to put it in front of as many of them as I can during the course of a day. Nice one, nice one. Yes, sir. Wide one, it's a wide one.
Great plan there for Keith Cone, using these moving baits, covering a lot more water, and got him all the way up to 3rd place right now. Jay Yellis has found him a real good spot that got a little recreational traffic over it today.
Come on, biggin. Oh, baby, that's the one. That's the biggest one of the day right there at 413. Come on, mama.
Got her. Hallelujah. Ooh, now there's a bass. That's a bass right there. Thank you, Jesus. What a fish. Ooh, that one will go 5. It's a good one.
Well, they're fishing a little bit later in this tournament than they do at any other stop during the course of the season, and Jay Ellis taking advantage of the late bite. We'll be back.
The Berkeley Bassmaster Elite at the St. Lawrence River, presented by Black Velvet, is brought to you by Minn Kota, Talon, Mercury, and by Nitro Boats.
Oh, down to the final minutes of fishing here. There's our host city, Waddington, New York. Just a completely charming town. Fishing crazy populace. People come from all around to set records here. Here's Steve Kennedy. Had a great day one, trying to hang in there today.
There he is. Golly, that's a big one. He was just sneaking off. Circling like a tuna. Now we're talking. Check that out. Wow, what a fish. What do you think? Give me some, come on now. Oh, the 5-4. Oh, the 5-4.
Just never gets old watching these guys catch these giant, oversized smallmouth. Meanwhile, Scott Canterbury, where he started today in 6th, but still thinking about that points race.
Hey, I want to put one on the, I got a place, got a trophy shelf built and got a place waiting on it, but it'd be pretty awesome. I'm telling you, it would be awesome to do. You know, I'm not one of the guys that's always in the hunt to win, neither. That's the thing. It's just, I mean, I'm not one of these guys that's like hero or zero and goes for the win every time. I try to be pretty consistent. That's a giant. But to win one of those trophies would be pretty dang special. It would be something, I mean, I pretty much put my life into this sport. It would be the pinnacle. Be really good, for sure. A big one. This in here will cull. That's a good one. That one will cull, son.
Good fish, timely fish right there for Scott Canterbury. Look at the size of that cull, the better part of 3 pounds, and that will move Canterbury from 6th all the way up to 3rd with time running out. Time also running out on our leader, Chris Johnston, Davey.
Well, I'm sure he would want it to run out right now. He's still currently in the lead. Chris Johnston has got some people that are really moving up leaderboard. Micah Fraser, we saw Scott Canterbury, multiple guys catching good fish. Chris Johnston needs to close this thing out with a few more 4, maybe even 5-pounders.
There's a 4-pounder I see every time on this point. If we could get him, it wouldn't hurt my feelings either. There's a giant. There's a 4. Got him. It's a big one. Long and skinny. Oh, better than what we had. Okay, we got time. We gotta get one more good one. Need a 5er.
Chris Johnston knows what he needs. That's a pretty good guess right there, because Micah Fraser, watch what he's been able to do today. He's been doing it all day long. Been on a run. In fact, he's run the table, 23 pounds already in the boat. If he can put another big one in, he's going to be hard to beat.
Yes, sir. That's a stud, dude. Thank you, Lord. That's a slab of meat right there, guys. Biggest one I've caught all week.
Let's talk about that blue trophy. What would it mean to win something like that in your career?
It'd be pretty big deal. I mean, I don't really think that's gonna happen this week, but I've never won a big tournament. So, I mean, it would be a major deal for me and, for everybody that's supported me to get me here. But, I still think I'm probably 2 big bites away. I've got one really big one, but I really need to catch another big one or two and to even have a chance. And that's if the guys ahead of me struggle. So, I don't know. I'd love to win one, but this, coming from 10th, it's like an uphill battle to start with, and on a place that's pretty hard to make up ground just because everybody that's caught them is probably going to catch them again.
Well, I agree with everything he said right there. Absolutely the truth. Certainly an uphill battle when you start in 10th place on the final day, Championship Sunday. But Micah Fraser is certainly doing what he needs to do. He started off catching big ones. He just needs one more good one.
Oh. I think that one will help a little bit. Belly on that thing. It's a good one. Man, I had a pretty special day, really just killed them all day long. It was just a lot of fun, and I'm ready to weigh them and see how much I got. I think it's the biggest bag I've ever weighed in of smallmouth, so pretty excited to see what they weigh.
Let's get ready to weigh! 25 pounds, 9 ounces, 25.9, and Micah Fraser rockets into the lead with 87 pounds and 4 ounces. You want me to bring him through? He's led since day number 1, Chris Johnston. This is not a done deal, though. With the deal Micah did, this is a very close finish. Let's get side by side, guys. 2 incredible young stars in our sport. Started today with 66 pounds, 5 ounces, looking for 21 even. 20 pounds and an ounce! 20 pounds and an ounce! And Micah Fraser comes from 10th place to the top of the leaderboard!
Well, there you go, a customary thunderous applause from one of these great crowds again in Waddington, New York. Your St. Lawrence champion for 2019, Micah Fraser, really kept his head down, sort of a metaphor for his entire career. Keeps his head down, works very, very hard, gets great results. Micah Fraser on top. Chris Johnston, who worked so hard to win this thing wire to wire, in 2nd place, and Scott Canterbury, leader in Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year points, in 3rd place. A great tournament yet again to a deserving young guy. He's performed well through his 5 years, but this is the jewel in his crown.
Absolutely, Tommy. In 2015, Micah Fraser joined the Bassmaster Elites, and I was fishing then. I noticed what a bright young star we had in our sport in Micah Fraser. Had some good finishes in the Bassmaster Classic, other elite tournaments, but on the final day, coming from 10th place to get his first Elite Series trophy, it won't be his last.
Yeah, 10th place, and also last tournament, Lake Guntersville. Jamie Hartman coming from 10th place. So now we know the place to start on the final final day is in the 10th spot. We'll see if it works out next time. That's when we'll see you on the Bassmaster Elite Series.